Apennines and the Adriatic Sea. It's about 15 kilometers far from Cesena. It's a treasure of architectural and historical interest, and the monuments and buildings are well preserved. Recent archaeological digs demonstrate that the origins of Cesena date to before Roman times. But when visiting Cesena, a name you will hear over and over is Malatesta. Why? Because the history of Cesena is the history of the Malatesta family, who developed the city 1400 to 1500 and built two of the most important monuments here today, the Biblioteca Malatestiana and La Rocca. In the 18th and the 19th centuries, Pope Pius VI and Pope Pius VII were born in the city, which also had Pope Pius VIII as bishop, gaining the title of the City of the Three Popes.
Palazzo del Ridotto was restored at the end of 18th century by Cosimo Morelli. The bronze statue of Pope Pius VI is located in a central niche. Behind the palace, behind the square, you can see the facade of Malatesta's library, the jewel of the town. In 2005, UNESCO included it in its Memory of World Program Register, as a rare example of complete and wonderful collection from the 15th century. Printing became popular in Europe.
The library opened to the public on August the 15th, 1454. It was built by the Lord of Cesena, Domenico Malatesta, who accommodating the town's Franciscan monks' request for more room for the growing number of codexes in their convent. Malatesta entrusted the new stadium to a pupil of Leon Battista Alberti, architect Matteo Nuti Tafano, who designed the beautiful rectangular plan with 3 naves.
There are 17,000 autographs and letters, 250,000 volumes, 1,753 manuscripts from the 16th and 19th century, and even the smallest book in the world that can be read without a magnifying glass. It's a letter by Galileo Galilei to Christina of Lorraine. The Malatestiana is a unique humanistic conventual library that has preserved its both original architectural structure and its impressive heritage. The real innovation was the choice of Malatesta Novello to entrust it to the municipality, that made it the first public library in Europe. You enter the aula through a marvelous Renaissance portal dominated by the Malatesta's coat of arms, an elephant with a Latin inscription. The Indian elephant does not fear mosquitoes. The aula has the form of a basilica with 1 nave and 2 aisles. The windows has been especially conceived to offer the necessary light for studying and reading.
In ancient times, the present Piazza del Popolo was called Piazza Maggiore. In the second half of the 14th century, Galeotto Malatesta refounded the town and made the square the heart of Cesena, place of meetings, markets, jousts and tournaments. And even today, traditionally on Wednesdays and Saturdays, the square hosts a big market with dozens of stalls offering various products. The square is also stage of important civil and cultural events and represents the beating heart of ancient St. John's Day on June the 21st, patron of the town, a feast full of stalls and entertainments characterized by perfumed lavender bunches, strings of garlic, and red sugar whistles offered to the children.
Right, it's a
middle of Piazza del Popolo, one of the most beloved monuments of Cesena is located. The artistic 16th century fountain attributed to Francesco Masini. It is made of Istrian stones. On the right hand of Masini's fountain, a portico announces the steps of Via Malatesta Novello, which, with a few minutes' walk, leads to the Malatesta's fortress. In the past, its strategic position on the top of Mount Sterlino protected it from fearsome enemies, dominating the entry of the valley and all of its surroundings. The fortress, as we see it today, was built in 1377 by Galeotto Malatesta and was continued under Carlo and Novello Malatesta's supervision. It features an imposing pentagonal wall, inside with the two towers called male and female rise. Inside the female there is the Museo della Civiltà Contadina, one of the main museums of the rural archaeology in the region.
Archaeological research has allowed us to date the beginning of construction of the cathedral back to around 1385. As it often happens in the case of important religious buildings like this, the history of the cathedral is marked by ongoing works of recreation, remodeling, enrichment and substitution of different works of art, the opening and closing of chapels, the building and dismantling of altars. The facade was finished between the 15th and the 16th century. In the meantime, the number of the altars and the smaller chapels inside the church kept growing.
The side chapels are decorated with painting from various sources and times.
The Abbey of Madonna del Monte represents one of the most characteristic landmarks of Cesena's territory. It's also one of the most important religious monuments. At the summit of the hill, visitors are confronting with a beautiful view of the town and the surrounding hills. The abbey is visible from almost every corner of the town. It can be easily reached by car as well as by following an old path. Via Scalette starts in Via San Benedetto, near a small central park. It is cut off from traffic and surrounded by greenery, and its stop can be reached in just a few minutes.
The entrance to the church is through a side door beneath a small portico. Immediately opposite is the chapel of the Madonna, but we will visit it in a few minutes.
The Benedictine monastery was founded in 1001 and completed by 1026. The complex was enlarged and embellished in later centuries, also during the Malatesta period. The church was rebuilt in the 16th century, when the twin-nave plan was transformed into a modern layout, with a single nave and side chapels. So, the interior of the church is composed of one house with four chapels on each side. Let's go in.
In the ceiling, 3 of the sides are decorated with a frieze by Girolamo Longhi, containing 14 scenes from the life of the Virgin. Finished in 1559, the frieze was blasphemed over in the following centuries and brought to new life at the beginning of the 20th centuries. The church is a center for Marian worship, attracting crowds of pilgrims, in particular on the 31st of May and on the 15th of August.
Through the main staircase designed by Terribilia, you can get to the presbytery.
The beautiful choir that follows the perimeter of apse dates from the second half of the 20th century and is decorated with biblical and allegorical subjects. It's still used for monastic prayers. The dome was decorated with frescoes in the late 16th century by Francesco Masini, the same artist who designed the fountain in Piazza del Popolo, but a terrible earthquake in 1768 destroyed the basilica's dome. It was rebuilt by the architect Borbone and decorated by Giuseppe Milani with the Assumption of the Virgin. A proof of the important role that Basilica has been playing for centuries in the religious life of the town is the extraordinary collection of ex-votos, a priceless heritage of both religious and folk art. Their small Thanksgiving pictures, which have been documenting miracles, salvations, and avoided dangers. This collection is one of the most important of Europe. The collection is exhibited in the showcases along the corridor of the apse. These tablets reflect the intense, popular devotion to the Madonna del Monte. The oldest date back to the 15th century.